Lord of all, to thee we raise this our grateful hymn of praise. Amen. Please be seated. I wonder if we can locate ourselves among the crowd today, on that mountainside, looking for hope wherever we can find it. Curious enough about Jesus to seek him out and watch him work and listen to what he has to say. Hungry or in some other state of need or want. Unsure from where the next meal or next provision will come. The mountain is a familiar place in stories of faith. So many times God meets people there. Perhaps it is because the mountain draws our gaze upward, away from present circumstances toward a plane of existence we hope may bring goodness to bear on our here and now. John's gospel notes that this mountainside encounter occurs as time is drawing near the feast of Passover, the pinnacle celebration of the Jewish year. Passover recalls God's rescue of the people from their slavery and the beginning of their journey through wilderness toward God's promise. So many times over those many years of sojourn, God provided for the people on that long way. Miraculous escape from enemies, water from a rock, the law given through Moses from the top of the mountain, bread from heaven. God always made a way where there seemed to be no way. Still does, we claim. When Jesus is met on that mountainside across the Galilee Sea by a large crowd of seekers, the entire landscape evokes powerful scenes from the ancient stories of Exodus. I wonder if we can locate ourselves among that crowd today. Are we still seeking after answers, hope, help? We're here, aren't we? Of all the amazing things they see and hear on that mountainside, it is a miracle that impacts each and every person in that crowd. It is that miracle that really wins them all over. Too much as far as Jesus is concerned. He hurries away to a quiet place. At the end of that day, with no food to share with all the people in that large crowd, Jesus takes a meager offering from a young person, 5 loaves, 2 fish. And he does something really powerful. He gives thanks. He gives thanks. And then he shares it, and shares it, and shares it. And there is more than enough. Every tummy filled with baskets and baskets left over. Got me wondering, for what does Jesus give thanks in that moment? John doesn't tell us, but I'll tell you that it seems a little early to be giving thanks because the miracle hasn't happened yet and the people are still hungry and the bread and fishes haven't filled all the tummies. Don't we give thanks after we receive a gift? In God's economy, there is always enough. The blessings of God are always in flow. There's always cause for gratitude. And Jesus seems to be tapped into the goodness of God, independent of any single particular need, want, or miracle to provide. When we are in touch with this infinitely generous God, over the course of time of our walking with God, we come to trust that even in the midst of great need, fret, despair, God is at work, always with us, working heavenly good in and through us. So, regardless of our circumstances today, there is always cause to give thanks. We enact this most Sundays in our worship, don't we? We gather around this table. We bring all our gifts. What gifts? Well, bread and wine, obviously, but also our good works out in the world and our service here in this place to one another. Yes, our gifts of money, but also the songs on our lips. And we bring our celebrations too, our birthdays and our anniversaries and our graduations and other milestones and successes. We even bring our prayers, longings, hopes, desires, desperations, inadequacies, and insecurities, worries for loved ones in trouble, fears and annoyances and indignances and disagreements. We put it all on the altar. And we give thanks. Remember, the word Eucharist means thanksgiving. And in this act of offering all that we are, and all that we have, and all that we are not, and all that we need, God feeds us miraculously. Not just filling our bellies, but filling our hearts with the stuff of God's goodness that makes our very presence out in the world a nourishing good for those with whom we share our life. So I wonder if we can locate ourselves among that crowd today. I wonder if in the midst of all our wants, all our needs, we may see ourselves gathered with all these others who have just at least a tinge of hope, enough to get us here today, so that Jesus can show us the way to God's promise, to God's peace and wholeness, to God's salvation. And if he is indeed showing us that way, might we see that gratitude is the way. Thanksgiving is the way. Giving thanks is the way to living in the abundant life that God extends to each of us. Now, in closing, I want to invite us to participate in a special exercise this morning. There is a little slip of paper in your bulletin today, or at least there should have been, and we have a couple of ushers who have more of those slips of paper, so if you didn't get one, you can just hold your hand up and we'll make sure that you do. There are some pens in the hymnal trays. If you just feel in there, there's a pen in each of those hymnal trays. And you have time also. This doesn't have to be right this moment. But may I ask you to take a moment before the offertory and write out a gratitude that you desire to offer today. You can write one thing, you can fill the card front and back. But at the offertory, as the plate comes by, and this is the first time we're going to be passing the plate again since we returned. As the plate comes by, you can place your thanksgivings in there along with any other offerings that you have to give. And if you're worshiping with us online today, maybe you can share your gratitude in the comments section with the video, or if you want to keep it more private between you and God, just write it there where you are and hold on to it. And then, when we bring those gifts forward, we will physically enact our giving thanks at the meal of Eucharist. And we'll put our offerings of thanksgiving and sharing what we have on the table with bread and wine, and we'll give thanks. And trust God to provide more than enough of whatever we need to feed ourselves and the world. And I believe God will. Amen.